What is up, folks? I am going to just do a little distribution here and get this out there to some folks. And then we're going to get going. See if we get some folks on or not. It is very late to be doing a live unboxing, but why not? Why not give it a go? Let's see what we can do here. So we will see if we get anyone on. Yo, all right. Got some folks joining. What is up? All right, we're going to just throw this over here into the Discord. Hey, what's up? Hey, welcome. I'm going to throw this on the Discord really quickly, just see if we get anyone on, and then we'll get rolling. I just got this in from Autmog, and I haven't done a live pen unboxing ever, and I haven't done a live in quite a while. So let me distribute this real quickly, and then we'll get rolling. Boom, boom, boom. Where is General? Live unboxing. All right, let's cut this sucker open. Trusty Demco, as always. Look at that line. That's a nice straight line. Yeah, you know, haven't done it before. Haven't done a pen on a live. So I thought that would be kind of fun. And I prepped for this a little bit before, so we can check this out. This is, I think, not exactly the latest model because he just dropped that KVR kind of limited version, but one of the latest models, one that's been starting to circulate quite a bit. It's this Odo MO5NP, I guess, refill. Aluminum. This is a little different. This is a little different. He finally changed this. Look at that. All right, I won't make you wait any longer here. Let's get into it. Oh, shorter than I was expecting. So light with the aluminum. Wow. All right, so this was the most recent model. To put this in perspective, it's quite a bit shorter. Wow, look how much shorter that is. What else do I have here? We can compare it to the model before that as well. So that was even longer. We'll write with them and stuff. Check them out. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let's open this up. That's on there a lot tighter than usual. All right. Showing my weakness. Let's see. Oh, there's a little end piece on there. A little cap or whatever you want to call it. All right, so this is the Autmog. It's like a 4038 mech or something like that. Ooh, that does write really well. What refill is this? Is this the PG MO5 NP? Okay. Super light. Let's throw this thing on the scale. I'm sure it's right on the website, but it's always more fun checking it out for myself. Today was the Odo day. I was testing some noses on my SPPs, these old like one-off noses that I've had for a year or more that I've like never really used. 0.62 ounces. I can't believe how light that is. There's a little comparison. Almost an ounce more. That's pretty crazy. This was like the titanium with the aluminum mech. So that's my only other aluminum mech. Oh no, that's not true. We have the OG. Wow, look how exactly on 1 ounce that is. That's crazy. The OG was an aluminum mech also. The aluminum mechs are just wildly smooth. That's the first thing I noticed on this one. Oh. Wow, that is light. It's a little lighter This is like my go-to, my favorite Autmog right now. And this spring pressure is quite a bit greater. I kind of want to pull the springs out and see if they're like really different. All right, I haven't really been checking the chat, so I'm gonna pop over on my computer, see if I try and balance like the computer thing with the phone at the same time and try not to mess up thing with the phone at the same time and try not to do exactly what I just did. Hopefully no feedback now. I had the computer volume on. All right. I am here. So now I can see the chat and I see you. When did you start doing lives? I actually used to do lives on knives, but I would only do them on very particular knives. Like, you know, Brown Knives would come out with a new model or something and I would do a live, but I don't normally do them. And that's because the hours that I usually do my unboxings are pretty late and I don't really prep ahead of time. I don't really know when things are coming. I run a lot of my channel very ad hoc, so I don't do a lot of lives because if you really want to make them impactful, I think you have to like go above and beyond and like market it ahead of time and stuff. There goes that mech. That's why I keep a little rubber pad in front of my chair. Okay, so I mean this is this refill, the PGM05 NP. All right. Interesting. I didn't realize the length of this refill. For some reason, I thought this was a full-size refill, but it really is like a Parker size, huh? Is it a Parker? Does anyone know? And yeah, that spring is quite a bit different, which I think I was feeling there, versus this guy has a much stronger spring pressure. But what's happening is it's the same spring, but on a G2 you have a much different distance in which your spring, you know, interfaces. So it looks like it's the same spring at least. But on a Parker refill, you know, the distance in which the spring is going to interact with the pen is different. So you're going to see more spring pressure with the same spring on a G2 than you are on a Parker size. Which is interesting because if you go back on the Smooth Precision pens models, a lot of times, yeah, he would have the same spring on a G2, like on a full size and on a mini. And that always tripped me out because you actually had a very different experience using that same spring because the spring pressure was so much greater. So on a full size with the same spring, it would be higher sprung. And I pretty frequently now put in a different spring here that's not as long on my full-size models, just so it's not quite so like sprung and it makes it a little less smooth and stuff. So anyway, yeah, Parker size, yep. Wow, this thing, it's kind of a beauty. I'm a lot of times when I think of aluminum, I think of this, and I don't know if you can tell. You know, it looks pretty similar on screen, so I'm not really sure what that looks like exactly to you all. But this just feels a little less aluminum. It feels somewhere between like titanium and aluminum. It just doesn't have that, it has the aluminum weight, but sometimes aluminum has like a sound and a resonance to it that just frankly feels a little cheaper. You know, it feels cheaper than titanium. And I don't really feel that here. Zero sound, which is great because these had a little bit of sound. This one doesn't seem to have a lot right now though. And yeah, the mech is just really light and smooth. Wow, I really like this. I like this a lot more than I actually thought that this was maybe going to be a pen I was going to let go. But I like it more than I thought I would. Let's see. I'm going to go a little smaller on the handwriting and see what I think. Ooh, that's pretty nice. I see why Brian was so... Ooh, I can count to 10. If I talk at the same time, I can't though. I see why Brian was so excited about this refill. It really is pretty nice. I've never written with it before. I like this pen. I like it more than I was expecting. Let's see. Autmogs don't have pocket clips. They do sometimes, not always. Here's an example of the pocket clip that Brian's been using pretty exclusively for quite a while. And it definitely is not a great pocket clip. Like, it works, but it's not great. And there are a few things I don't love about it, which is that due to his machining limitations, it's very hard for him to round off the top here. So this can scratch stuff up. It's just sharp to the touch. You know, he does a machine finish for the most part. So without a stone wash on that pocket clip, it's always just felt, you know, especially if you're coming at your pen from this side here on your thumb, it's always felt a little unfinished to me. Granted, you're probably not doing the plunger from this side, but you know, if you grab your pen, you're not really thinking about the pocket clip, right? So I don't like to have to orient the pen. So I'd gravitate towards his clipless. I've sold all but this one of my clipped versions of the Autmog pens, but he's coming out with a version 2 of the pocket clip that will be rounded on the top. And it's gonna have a safety clip that works like the Magnus. If you're familiar with this super cool Magnus pocket clip on the one, where the pocket clip itself retracts the pen, and if you put it in your pants, check this out. Let me see if I can simulate this. This is a little thin, so it might not work. Maybe I need to do it like that. Look at that. It retracted because the buttons between the pocket clip and the pen body, so that retracts the refill if you put it in your pocket, so you're less likely to have an ink leak. That's a Parker concept. I think Parker designed that concept a while ago, but Magnus executed it pretty well on the one pen. And that is where Brian is going with this, apparently. All right, what do we see here? I'm like on pocket clips, winter blade knife, it's coming out. How it compares to the flash dry refill. Okay, good question. Pull out the flash dry. I think I like it a little more. Let me just go head to head really quickly here. Yeah, it glides across the paper a little smoother, more like a Energel. So it doesn't hang up on the paper quite as much as the flash dry. So I'd give it, it feels like it's about 10-20% better than the flash dry refill. Sorry, this is flash dry. I do like the flash dry though, it's not bad. And then this one, these two are PG. And sorry, I know my handwriting sucks. Someone was commenting on my video the other day just going, dude, can you just spend like an hour a week practicing your handwriting? Not the point of the channel, but I get it. So these two are both the PG. It's right there. It's within like 10 or 20%. There, sometimes, you know, it's like newness bias. You like want to like something more because it's new. They're pretty darn similar. Brian said he's working on a new clip. Are you wearing any socks? Are my feet showing right now? I'm wearing socks. I'm in the Pac Northwest right now and it's been like 30 degrees at night. Sorry, no feet pics, homework 5. It is kind of cool though on the live, the screen's a little wider for some reason. So you get to see like the outskirts of my desk. I put these on here because I was getting so many scrapes in my nice figured maple desk. And hey, what's up from Singapore? Cool. What a cool country Singapore is. It's nice. I see a lot of collectors out there in knives and pens. Nice to have someone from overseas here. I see some folks from Korea too that like pens. Hey, thanks. Appreciate that. So points, the weight on this is like really surprising. I can see how some people might not like that, but if you're writing with it for a very long time, I think that would be pretty darn nice. The grip on this feels very good to me. I noticed that the grip on the aluminum, I can handle like a wider grip on an aluminum pen. This same grip width on this brass one that weighs an ounce more, it can feel a little exhausting. This one has that crazy narrow Energel refill. I don't know if it's like a LRN3 or something like that. I don't know what it is, but this one does just feel like you feel the 40 grip a bit more on this, just probably due to the heft and the weight. This thing's such a beauty. I just do everything I can to not let it patina, even though I just should accept its fate. Same with the mech on this guy. And then this one's also a 40 with the tie. I really like this 38. That is my go-to. It's my most used Autmog pen ever by far. It is a G2 refill, so that's not for everyone, but I love that 38 size. That to me is just optimal for like a tie with a brass mech, just the weight overall and stuff. Love it. I don't know what this is. I think it's a 47. This thing is a monster. So I can kind of handle this, the P186 refill. Look at that. What is it? P8126. Sorry. P8126 refill. Just because this thing is aluminum, it makes it a bit lighter and more tolerable. But that's Leifel, if you guys know who he is. Teha, he talks about that quite a bit too, that as you ramp up the size of the pen going to the lighter weight material, you kind of offset that thicker diameter, both with a lighter pen because of the material, but also just, I think, the fatigue that you get from having your finger, sort of stretched out further, it all kind of comes together. So I really like that about this guy here. If we're going chronological here, this guy would belong over here. And I haven't kept around any of my Autmog smaller size except for those P1826 refills. The Parkers haven't stuck around. Actually, I do have one. I lied. The one that I've kept around is this full brass. But it's just because it has that, I think it's a brass ball in there, or a bronze ball. And that makes it kind of cool. And this is like a 36, so you kind of, again, you see that trend of, I think this would have been made here maybe. As the pen gets thinner, then I start to appreciate the heavier metals as well. All right, I gotta tell you, I brought the Autmog to try and work. A friend loved it. Yeah, you gotta be careful. I've got quite a few friends that own prior Autmogs of mine. That's where your Autmogs will go if you start bringing them around work and sharing them with friends and stuff. No, that's cool. The aluminum seems small in your hand. Yeah, I mean, I have a kind of a weird hand, and you guys have probably watched some of my videos before if you're here right now. My fingers are kind of skinny, but my palm is pretty big, and so I've got kind of long, bigger hand. At one point I could probably palm like a full-size basketball, right? I'm not sure if I can right now at this point. Maybe. I don't know if the strength's there anymore. But the pens will always look a little smaller in my hands than you will see on most people's, just because they're kind of just weird looking. They're like skinny but wide. So it's sort of deceiving. It's deceptive. But yeah, it is smaller. I mean, this is again my optimal Autmog, my favorite Autmog by comparison. Look how much longer that is. I mean, that is definitely why have I not measured this yet? Let's measure it up. Where's my what do I do with my measuring tape? I got a comment the other day like, dude, what do you do your reviews, like you do these reviews and you don't have any information about the product. I'm like, yeah, that's because it's an unboxing. It doesn't even say review on the video. It says unboxing. That is not a review. 4.625 or so inches. So that is a pretty short pen. And that includes, and this is on a plunger pen, right? So Smooth Precision pens, full size right there, is definitely a smaller pen. I do not nerd out too much on notebooks. I did watch a couple of videos where I think it was like Knife Nerdy or someone was talking about this one, and he really liked the thickness of the paper. This is the Aerocrafted here. And so I bought it, but I care a bit. I'll tell you what I care more about is like, if it's really thick like this, sometimes it's kind of annoying because as you work your way down the page, you start writing with your hand off the page and it changes the way you write. So you almost have to like, whoops, you almost have to like open it like that and write over here. Yeah, I was doing some doodling. Just so it's not so thick while you're writing with it. What tens with your preferred? Ooh, I mean, this is really it. This is the only one where I'll actually take meeting notes with that one right there. They're both G2. I love Energel. Like a couple years ago, I just didn't get why everyone loved them. Now that I've used them enough, I do love Energel. So I kind of wish, more of my pens were Energel. But Pilot G2, I just get the 0.5 refill. These two are my most used right now, and I've just started to really use that one more because I honestly was just kind of babying it a little bit for a bit there. This one you can see I'm almost out of that ink there, so getting low, ready for a refill. And once this one runs out, then I'm gonna probably try and run a whole refill through that one and just see if I like it as much. But again, it's falling into this same size category. Materials are both titanium, both have very minimalist grip rings that I like. I never really liked the look of step nose, but I've started to understand the technicality of it more, and you can see it's now starting to permeate more of my collection. And I understand how when you're writing, you can see a little better with that step nose, and that started to catch my interest a bit. So this is the 38, 36, what did he call it? Recessed or tapered? I can't remember if he said the word recessed or tapered in the ad for this pen. Whatever, tapered. And it's running a G2 0.5. And I love this. Like I take a lot of notes now with this pen as well. So let's see. Just catching up on the chat here. What was this about the tray? Autmog. I don't know if I see what that was about on the tray there. GSK Forever, is that GlaxoSmithKline? Born in Slow. Cool. Aerocrafted, you're from San Luis Obispo. God's country of aircraft and pens. I'm really excited. I hope the Aerocrafted comes out. Is it Aerocrafted? Aerocrafted. I hope they come out with a G2 size or an Energel size. I think that'd be a really nice version of the Retract. The Retract's just a little small for me. I would love to see that a little bigger. Pilot G2, Uniball Zento, and SXR 600. Oh my gosh, you're getting me on the Uni. I really want the version of this pen with the full titanium and the Uni, the SXR refill. I haven't put that one out there in the ether yet with like an ISO or whatever, but it's crossed my mind multiple times. I love that full titanium version of this pen. I love this version also. And I try not to have too many duplicates these days because obviously my collection's gotten a little ridiculous. I'm hovering around 150 pens, and that's after that includes selling some 30 pens, but I've been buying so many the last 6 months. It's been crazy. I need smaller hands. That would be nice. That would actually make a lot of things work better. What pen would be really nice with smaller hands? The other day I carried for the first time one of my Magnus pens. This is the Magnus Bolty V1. That is a smaller pen. A lot of people don't know how small this pen is, this Bolty V1, but it is that size. So it is very small. Let me see, where's a straight edge I can use here? Use the scale. Boom. The other day I went to an event and I have two of these Click Shift V1s, one that's like new in box that I never use, and this one that was a user that I grabbed. And I carried this and I loved it. This is a really nice size. I don't know if you can hear the ting. Oh, I love the sound of that pen. And this is just a really nice, like elegant, I was like, oh, what's a gentleman's pen? Because we have like our gentleman's knives, right? I was like, what am I going to carry for that? And that was the one I chose. I went to this auction gala thing for my kids' school. And I'm not like a big fancy dress up kind of guy, but you know, you got like your gentleman's knife, something that's a little extra fancy. And that was my gentleman's pen right there. That was I signed some auction bids with this sucker. I really like that one. So that's like one of the smaller, about as small as I like to go, I'd say. But this little Bolty is the smallest of the more recent Magnus pens, and it's also kind of sweet here. Bolty V1. But all of them are bigger than the Magnus 1 pen. The cool thing about the top clickers though, you know, you just get a little more room, so you can handle it. It's like that works for me. I can write with this pen, except that I have a crappy refill in it. I cannot write with the Easy Flow 9000. What a terrible refill. All right, wait, what pen is that? Gentleman's pen. That was a Click Shift, Magnus Click Shift V1. Let me write with that one too. Sorry, terrible handwriting on this one. Hitting it at a bad angle, and not my favorite refill. I don't know what's in there. I'll have to take a look at that. But that's what that is. That switch got me. Still prefer tactiles. I don't prefer tactiles. I think that they're very good, but my favorite all-around switch is the V2, or I guess it's not a switch, Click Shift. But can you see that in there on the video? Look at that Zerk mech. It is so smooth. And then that pocket clip is just so cool. How deep it is and how he formed that on there. I mean, basically this pocket clip was why he couldn't produce more Click Shift pens for a long time. And then he finally was like, all right, screw it. I've created the world's coolest pocket clip and it's a pain in the ass. He's like charging like $300 a pen. And then he literally was able to drop the price of the pen $100 by switching up the mech a little bit and getting rid of this pocket clip. Which says a lot. But this is one of my favorites. And I happen to have an Atoya, what is it? Not the Aqua Roller. One of the last survivors. What is this one called? I can't remember what it's called. Aqua Gel or something. Great refill. That Atoya. Unlike its cousin, also from Atoya. I think the Aqua Roller is the crappy one. And this one is great. But I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It's a little late over here. I'm a little tired. We just got back from travel, so. Ooh, look at that. I think it's the GPR7, I recall correctly. So, I don't know. I can't remember. Let me go look it up. The Toya GPR7 Gel Aquaflow or something. Everyone's upset that they killed this this refill. They discontinued it. GPR7, what was it called? It's basically a quick dry, but it's a 7mm instead of a 5mm. And then, you know, you can still get the aqua rollers from them, but don't do that. It's a crappy rollerball refill that sucks. Basically like the bad refill that Magnus ships in most of his click shift pens, the PS 107 soft, whatever that thing is. That is so crappy. I don't know. Some people like it. I posted on his Facebook page, hey, could we switch up that refill? You're shipping all these pens and we're all throwing away these like $5 refills. And one person went thumbs down on it. I was like, really? There's someone that actually likes that refill? That surprised me. I've been pulling my punches a little bit so I don't offend anyone that likes that refill. But that Odo PS 107 is the worst refill I think I can remember in recent memory. Like, it's literally, I'd probably take a Parker or a Schmidt EasyFlow 9000 over that refill. It's that bad. So bad. All right, let me catch up on the comments because I've been on a monologue. Wait, what pen is that? Gentleman's pen. Switch got me. Never buy snappy. Need to buy a snappy switch pen. Yeah, that thing is snappy. New tightener mecha pen. Grimsmo's still on my list. I got a Grimsmo here for you. This one I recently, someone sold a body, what is this thing called? A slider and a nose. And so I bought those and sent it over to Phil Atchison with Metamorphosis, and he did this phenomenal work. I really like how this turned out. This is my favorite sag I've ever handled. I don't have it switched up yet because I'm not writing with this pen because it's just a little too small for me, but throw an Odo PG 105 NP in this thing, and it eliminates that tip wiggle that you get with the Saga or a Schneider Jellion or whatever. That would be a good option also. And then plus this polish. The only thing on here that's not polished is the pocket clip is stonewashed, and then this is the original satin button. But yeah, the Toya GPR 7 is what I was thinking of. But there's a name for it. Yeah, you're right, Homework. There's probably a little hookup there. So wait, let's get some context. This one, genuinely, as soon as his email hit my inbox, it was during my massive acquisition time, and I had email alerts turned on my phone. And Brian's face popped up on my phone, and I clicked it and responded like within seconds. So that one, I was like on that first drop, this is the one that he started doing on the email drops. I fair and square responded to that thing so fast. And I know because of that, I was able to get high on his list. This one, I got the old school way, which was that I missed it on the website drop. And then I wrote him an email and said, hey, I want one of those. And he said, sorry, I'm out. And then he said, hey, I was able to make more, which if you've been around Autmog for a while, that's how you get a lot of his pens, is you tell him that you wanted one that he ran out of, and he makes them until he can't make them anymore, until basically the machine stops producing a pen within tolerance, right? Because the way he machines is like he goes and designs the model, builds the model, and his machine breaks, and then he stops making that model and he goes to the next one. The machine, stops, the drill wears out, whatever it is. So then he switched to this model. But this one I got because I'd emailed him. I was like, dude, I need one of those. Like, let me know if you make any more. And he said he made one, and I drove to Vancouver. You might have seen the video. I drove to Vancouver and I picked it up from him. I was like, hey, I'm going to come up there. I want to video some of your machine shop and stuff. And so I actually ran up there and picked this one up in person. But the last one I had gotten besides those two was this. And then this one, same thing, emailed him before the drop, before he dropped this. So he had put up on the website this model, and I emailed him. I thought it was titanium. I didn't even look at first. And I was like, oh, I want that titanium version of this. I thought it was a titanium version of this. And I emailed him before he sent out the email to everyone. So I think I got maybe a little earlier on the list because of that. This one he said I missed. And then again, just like that one, he came back and he's like, oh, I was able to make one or two last ones. And so he had like just put new tooling on, and he's like, dude, this thing's unbelievably smooth. I want you to check it out. And so, yeah, I think I probably did get a little lucky. I might have gotten a little favoritism on that. But I don't know. He didn't tell me like if he's doing me a favor, but I'm also not like, I'm not mad if he is. So what can I say? With all your pen knowledge, you feel like you should write guides for us newbies. I do a lot of video content on that. I don't write a lot of guides. I do some Reddit posts, but obviously that would be very resource intensive. And the nature of my channel is literally the pen comes in the mail. Sometimes I look at the website before I jump online, and I'm not going to get to check out my pen until I get this freaking video camera on and turn it on and unbox it, right? So I go into this pretty damn fast a lot of times just to get the pen into my own hands, because I, like you all, am a collector and a pen addict, and I want to get the pen in my hands. So a lot of times I'll go into these things like, what does this thing even weigh? What's the length? Because literally I haven't checked. Like, which refill is it? Sometimes I've studied it and it's been like coming on for a long time. Like when the Focus Works Sideswipe came out, like I'd been talking with Jordy about the design and stuff for months. So I pretty much knew it was coming on that unboxing video. This particular one, I didn't realize how short that MO5MP was and stuff. So like that was a little surprising. So you get different products from me if you watch my channel. Sometimes you get a highly studied pen, like my recent video where I talked through my collection of Smith Precision pens. I've been studying this pen for, like 4 years, 4 years. So I learned along the way all the nuances of every model that's been made there, and I know it deeply. And I've been involved with it for a long time. Something like this, like, he only makes this, like he makes somewhere between 20 and 200, or maybe 500. I don't even think he usually gets to 500. 20 and 200 per model. So I can't keep track of every one of his models, and these are the ones that have stuck around because I like them. So I know these pretty well. But like the new one, I'm not going to know it as well. All right, have a good night, homework. Thanks for joining. If Kelvin gets back into pens, he'll have to call you up to recall details of his prior designs. It's funny you say that because, he and I talk about some of this stuff because, I ended up buying a lot of those old parts. And just as like a community service, he's been very willing to help me, and I'm very efficient with his time. I do not waste Kelvin's time. I could contact him a lot more than I do, and I think he respects that I very infrequently contact him. But when I do, it's because I'm trying to figure something out that I can hopefully be a proxy for him and help a lot of people know like how this nose is, or like, is the pocket clip round on top or flat on top? Because there's not a lot of data online now that his website's gone and stuff. Like a lot of that info, you might find it on someone else's website or whatever. Anyways, when I contact Calvin, it's almost always like, hey, did you do this way? How was that done? Like what size screw is this or whatever. And I try and be very efficient with his time. And I think he understands that I'm trying to then pass that information on to other people and actually make his job a little easier. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss. A lot of pen collectors are very greedy and self-centered. And I am a little bit, don't get me wrong. but I try to at least give more than I get so that there is some sort of balance in my effort in the positive, right, as opposed to in the negative. I'm not just taking, I'm also trying to give. And so, like, when it comes to Calvin's time, I think he knows that he's going to give me a little. I'm going to get a little, but I'm going to try and give 5, 10 times more than he put into the effort to me by answering that same question for other people. For instance, I just shipped a guy a clip to Hawaii because his clip broke and he has a awesome USG Go, and it's like we got to keep these pens working right at this point as a community. So talked him through which clip he needed and all that stuff, and went into my drawer with the very few I have left at this point, because I was selling them for $15 a piece a year ago, but I still have some left, and I was like, all right, I'll part with this, and put it in your hands. I charged him more than that. I think I charged him $85 or something like that because shipping and time, and the fact I don't really want to sell those pocket clips anymore because I know I'm going to break some. And so anyone I give away now, it's like, if I give one away for $15 now, I'm going to be like, oh shit, like that's actually like a pretty bad loss for me at this point because I actually need the pocket clips. And I do have I have a lot of crap from Smooth Precision pens. Like here's a whole box of just parts and noses and bodies. And O-rings. And there you can see 3 more pocket clips right there. Springs. There's a few other brands in here as well, but that used to be about 5 times bigger than it is now. All right, back to business. Let's wrap this thing up. What do we think? So I like the double taper more. These last two have had the single taper with the triple nose bevel. I don't really notice that triple nose so much. I guess it's kind of cool because as pressure comes up this way though, does it make you slip down? This is kind of unique, but I don't know if I love that. I guess you don't really put your fingers that far down, so I guess you are getting a little more visual clearance to the page by having that shaved off. So I think that's a net benefit. The 40 grip on the aluminum, again, just doesn't feel as 40. So it feels closer to the 38 titanium. I like the action. I like the, what's the term for it? Monochromatic look by having the aluminum mech and the body the same. And again, I'm not normally a big aluminum fan, but for some reason, the sound of this one, it doesn't feel cheap and doesn't sound bad. Like you could say the Kara's, it's also an aluminum pen that's about this size, and this feels totally different than the Kara's Basic, even though they're made of the same material. Although I don't know if it's the same aluminum. Hey Paul, what's up, man? Paul's a OG from like, I don't know, the first. It's what you probably are one of my first like 100 followers or something like that from back in the day, focused on knives and stuff. Paul's been around for a long time. Do you like pens also, Paul? I don't know, man. I don't know if I've seen you talking about pens. I can't remember, but definitely a knife nut just like me. And Paul's, I can't remember, was it Demko that got you into the channel or Brown? It was Brown, right? Trying to remember what I was reviewing when I first saw Paul show up. But it was definitely knives. What else? Pull out the old Autmog twist, just for fun. What other cool pen can we bring out? Oh, here we go. Where it all began. With the Max Mad Cow. Any other fun pens jumping out at me right now? Oh, losing control here. Oh yeah, where it began for me in my first machine pen. Man, as soon as I put in a lighter spring on this, I've actually really started to like this pen again. I didn't realize how much I disliked the spring that it came with until I changed it. Paul says he has one titanium pen, a Fellholter. That is a very much a knife person's pen, Paul. That is definitely, because Fellholter just shows up at all those knife events. The spinny, if you don't know, I'm going to throw this in the chat. Olight did just release a production version of that pen. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. So you can actually get these now on Amazon. If I can type Amazon, Olight, article. Let's get this sucker in the chat. I can't find it. I wrote Oracle, that is why. Article pen. Man, I can't, it's not coming up now. What did I do? Let's go to Discord. I know I put it in there. Search for article. All right, there we go. Oh, it's my, I should give a disclosure. This is a paid for link. If you use this link, I will make 60 cents or something like that if you buy this pen. You bought a Fellholter for $70. That's a good deal on a Fellholter, dude. That is a really nice price on a Fellholter pen. Number 92. That's right. The brown knives. Mini FSD, or the Mini FSDI, right? Is your 92. Anyways, why did I just put the Discord thing in here? I put the Discord link in there, so that's probably not going to work. Let's try that again. Second try. Oh, I can't seem to get it to work. Try and leave y'all with something. Huh. For some reason I can't get my... Let's see if I can do this a little differently. I should be technical enough to... Here we go. Oh man, it's sneaky. Discord rewrites all the links. That's interesting. Let me jump to the message and see if I can figure out my way around it. Sorry, I know this is boring. There we go. That's the one. All right, I'm able to delete this other one. Let's remove that. Anyway, what do we conclude? We like this ceramic PG M05NP. If you're wondering where can you buy these, because I don't know if you can buy those refills. My gosh, I'm just gonna hit this all night. On Amazon, PG M05NP. I found these on which one is it? It was one of these pen refill things. PG M05NP. If you're just joining now, you're probably like, what is going on here? It's on jet pens. So you can get this refill on jet pens. Now I'm wondering, can I fit this refill into a Parker size pen? So Parker, let's see if it works. Is anyone guessing right now? Should we do an over-under on whether this will work? This says G2, so it's like what, a Parker G2 size. So what does that mean? Does that mean this will or will not work in my Bolty here? Drum roll. Yeah, cycled. I don't know if it's got, let's see. Oh, a lot of tip wiggle though. I wouldn't recommend that. That is horrific. I don't know if you can hear that with my microphone, but that is terrible. Don't do that. That is one of the really cool things about Autmog is Brian just does such an amazing job of making these refills specific on his pens. It's a, double-edged sword. It obviously means that the pens are less flexible to take other refills, but man, I have learned to really dislike, I've learned to really dislike tip wiggle. Once you become conscious of it, gosh, it's like when you buy a car and then you start seeing that car driving down the road. I recently leased a Tacoma, and now I just see Toyota Tacomas all the time. I cannot unsee Toyota Tacoma. It could be like a little flicker out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, oh, Tacoma 2023. And same thing, once you start feeling tip wiggle in your pen, you can't unfeel it. That feels so much better. Don't put these in your Magnus. That's my conclusion here. But if you have a chance, I would recommend this pen. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a little short. It is definitely light. It's aluminum, but it doesn't feel as aluminum. It has a nice little ting. Can you hear that? It's not quite as loud as like this one. It's right up there. This one has a crazy ting. All right, too much fun. Hey, we're going on an hour here. You're tired of me. I'm tired as a person. Let's call it. Thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate it. It was fun. And I'll post this as a recording, I guess. Biggest news by far, Brian has a brand new bag. Baby's got a brand new bag. I mean, this is going on years now that he's been using these old canvas ones, so that's a pretty big deal that he changed that. Not a fundamental change by any means, but look at that. What a big deal. All right, all for now. If you enjoyed, I'm kidding. I will see you on the next one, folks. Thanks again for joining. Take care.